as much as I don't want to say that it is another episode of Dragon Ball for Dragon Boy, I gotta say, it's kind of similar to one of the episodes of Dragon Ball. Now, even though this one doesn't have Master Roshi in it, we do get a character called Yokai instead, which is pretty similar to another character like Poor or even Oolong. And this is why I kind of think it's very similar to the episode of Oolong where he shows up being a shapeshifter, because kind of like in this chapter, for chapter 2, we get Yokai who shapeshifts into a guy, which usually in Dragon Ball, Bulma likes to flirt with the handsome dude, but in this one, Princess is kind of just like, wow, you think I'm beautiful? Wow, it's about time somebody around here thinks I'm beautiful. But even though the yokai is just there to pretty much steal their food, he does help out halfway through the story, which is when they get to the bridge. And even though this is kind of feeling like it is a short chapter compared to the last one, I will say for a fact that it is still an interesting chapter no matter what. But I do like the part where Goku is facing the mechanical soldier. This seems more of a fight for Tang Tong because of how the princess is acting around him and stuff. I feel like there's more happening in this chapter when the fight is happening, because when the princess is acting up and being a little goofball, distracting Tang Tong at this point, he literally keeps getting hit back to back and back until he really gets fed up to the point where he just literally knocks this robot out. Now, even though we got a yokai to literally change into a soldier, pretty much shut down this mechanical soldier so that way they can pass this robot and just continue on with their adventure, I still think that it's still an interesting chapter no matter what, especially when you get to the part where she just literally complained about how she literally just pissed herself for like half of the chapter, and then by the end of it they make a joke out of it just because it's a running gag. Now, I will say it is kind of funny, I get it, that there is a joke. Bulma does something similar to the first episode, of course, when she gets stuck on the mountain in Dragon Ball. But still, either way, I feel like, even though, yes, it is a funny ending of how Yokai pretty much just makes her naked because, well, he can't stay in that form for 3 minutes, which is kind of similar to Poor and Oolong, if anybody remembers that. Now, even though this is where the story ends and there is no more chapters at this point for Dragon Boy, which I am kind of disappointed because I really love reading these chapters. They just make it the vibe of Dragon Ball so much out of this chapter that you kind of just want more. And that's the funny part. Even though, yes, the next story is very similar to Tang Tong, I do have to say I kind of wish there was more to this story. Now, even though it sounds like we probably won't be getting any more at this point because of what happened with Akira Toriyama, it is pretty sad that we won't be able to see the full story happen, unfortunately, where things would lead them to the final ending where the Blossoms are. But either way, I guess at this point we'll just have to imagine what's going to happen for it, and that's all we can do for the time being. But really, overall, the story was really good, and I gotta give it an 8.5 out of 10. The reason I do is because of the whole annoying part with the princess, but besides that, Yokai is a great character, even though, yes, he is a skirmish guy at the beginning who just wants food and pretty much doesn't care about them in general, which, no offense, kind of sounds like Oolong when they first met him. And then to end it off with a little comedy, of course, at the end with Yokai with his powers, I still think that was great. And even the fight with Tang Tong and the mechanical soldier, because it showed how difficult things can be when things are happening around the area where things can be very deadly in certain situations. Either way, this short story or second chapter to Dragon Boy in general is still good either way, even if this is the final chapter we're gonna get for this story. I will say it is interesting phenomenally how they did it, but either way, unfortunately, since there's no ending to this story, I guess this is the best way we're gonna have to end the story. Like I said, great story overall. Dragon Boy Chapter 1 and 2 is really good to read overall, and I highly recommend it if you are a Dragon Ball fan. You'll probably like these two chapters, and like I said, highly recommend it if you're interested in these two chapters. But anyways, that is it for now, guys, so hopefully you guys enjoy watching. Hit a like for more, subscribe new, of course, and I will see you all, of course, in the next chapters. Anyways, guys, take care. Have a great day.